So multiplying and dividing radicals. So when we multiply radicals, the first thing that you've got to do is make sure you don't have any perfect squares. Bring out all the perfect squares, simplify them, and whatever that you cannot simplify, you leave them behind. And combine if it's all possible based on what we just did. So I'm going to start with numbers because it's easier this way. We should simply distribute, yes? So root 3 times root 3. Root 3 times root 2. Root 5 times root 3. Root 5 times root 2. Yes. What would happen if I multiply root 3 and root 3? Just like you can split radicals, you can put them together. Again, this is a trivial problem, but I'm doing this so that you understand it when we deal with variables. 3 times 3. Square root of 3 times 2. Square root of 5 times 3. Square root of 5 times 2. There's nothing much I could do about these terms, so I'm just going to write them as square root of 6 plus square root of 15 plus square root of 10. What about that? Square root of 3 times 3. It would reduce to 3. Because 3 times 3 is 3 squared. Square root of 3 squared is just 3. Does that make sense? We should just distribute. So 5 times 3, 15. Root A times root B. Yes, I'm just distributing. Minus 5 times 5, 25. Root A. Just like I can split a radical in product, I can put them together as well. So square root of AB minus 25 square root of A. Does that make sense? So this should be 7 times 2, 14. Square root of x times square root of 3 minus 7 times 5, 35. Square root of x times square root of x. Good. Well, nothing much I could do here, so I'm just going to combine. Square root of x times square root of 3, square root of 3x. What is that? X. Root x times root x, x. If you can't recognize it, probably put a side note no matter what you have inside a root, if you're multiplying two roots, square roots, and you have the same term, the answer will be whatever that is inside. Easier way to remember. Just like multiplication, when you divide, we can split the numerator and the denominator entirely. So I can write this as square root of 15a squared divided by square root of 64b squared. I have two terms in product, so I can split them up. Write it as square root of 15 times square root of a squared divided by square root of 64 times square root of b squared. Root and square will go away. Root square will go away. Numerator is square root of 15. Still have an a, so times a. What is square root of 64? Eight multiplied by b. Good. So, as I mentioned, anytime we deal with square roots, we want to keep perfect squares. Going to split the numerator and denominator. Yes. And now I can start splitting it up and write it as square root of 16, square root of x raised 4, divided by square root of 50 times square root of y raised 7. Correct? I can split x raised 4 as x squared, square root of x squared times square root of x squared. Before that, I'm going to rewrite 16 as 4 squared. X raised 4, square root of x squared times square root of x squared. Let's see if you paid attention to what I just mentioned earlier. What is square root of x squared times square root of x squared? X squared, right? We know that from earlier. So that entire thing will become x squared. Denominator, I can write 50 as square root of 25 times square root of 2. Y raised 7 square root of y squared times square root of y squared times square root of y squared times square root of y. Yes. You may ask me, well, why is he writing everything in powers of 2? Because the root and the square will get cancelled. Think of my squiggly. So root square will get cancelled. So in the numerator, I have 4x squared. Denominator, square root of 25 is 5. 5 root 2. What would happen if I multiply square root of y squared with square root of y squared? I will get y squared. The root and the square will get cancelled. I'll have y multiplied by root y. Yes. So 4x squared divided by 5y squared. What is y squared times y? Y cubed. Root 2 times root y. There is nothing much I could do about root 2 times root y. So I'm just going to write it as square root of 2. That is one way of doing the problem. Another approach is to go with rational exponents, something that we did in 7.1. The process, however, is very much the same. In the sense, I have to split up to that part. But instead of doing all that, method 2, square root of 16 is 4. Yes. And I can write a root as x raised 4 raised 1/2. Correct. That's the first thing that I wrote at the beginning of the class today. Square root of 50, I know from over there, is 5 root 2. I want to split it up in terms of the nearest even number. So what is the nearest even number? 6. It has to be less than 7, or else we can't split it up. So I can write it as y raised 6 times y. Correct? Rule of exponents, what do we do with 4 and 1/2? From 7.1. We multiply. So 4 times 1/2 is 2. Denominator 5 root 2. Split the y raised 6 and y. That is already an even power, correct? So numerator is 4x squared. Denominator is 5 root 2. I can write y raised 6 or square root of y raised 6 as y raised 6 raised 1/2 multiplied by root y. Yes? What happens to 6 and that 1/2? You multiply, you get 3. So that would become y cubed. Correct? So 4x squared, 4x squared, 5, 5. Y cubed, y cubed. Square root of 2 times square root of y. Square root of 2 times square root of y. Yes?
How do you know when to add that?
How many?
Like how do you know when to put it like multiply.
Anytime you have something raised to the power of something, you multiply those two.
Why'd you have the half?
Square root would mean raise 1/2. Always. If it's a cube root, then it should be 1/10. Fourth root, 1/4. First step would be to split the numerator and the denominator. Then we simply have to split it in terms of perfect squares. I can write 98 as 49 times 2. And x raised 9. Denominator square root of 25 times y cubed. Correct. I can apply the root to each of those terms. So square root of 49 is 7. There is nothing I could do about square root of 2, so I'm just going to leave it as is. Square root of x raised 9. Denominator, square root of 25 is 5. And square root of y cubed. Yes? Want to write it like I did over here. What is the nearest even power that is less than 9? 8. And what about y cubed? What is the nearest even power? 2. Now I can convert the radical to exponents. So x raised 8 raised 1/2, x raised 1/2, 5, y squared raised 1/2, y raised 1/2. Yes, what do we do with those two? Multiply. Eight times 1/2 is 4. Nothing I could do about that x raised 1/2, so I'm going to rewrite it as square root of y. Ah, thank you. Denominator, we have 5y. 2 times 1/2 is just 1. Have square root of 1. Yes. I can combine that root 2 and root x and write the final answer as 7x raised 4 square root of 2x divided by 5y square root of y.